engagement.
Engagement.
So just start with the feet wide. You're just going to look at it. This is the vertical movement with the sword. So just loosening the body up. Nice and easy. No power, just drop through the curve. The hands nice and loose all the time. Sinking into the ground. Okay, just change it now to this movement. So you're going to now look at a diagonal movement. So allowing the hands to, show from this way, allowing the hands to come up and then swing through this way. So just at a slight diagonal. You're going to raise up, come down. So just slightly opening the hip work up a little bit more, allowing the sword to go in a slight diagonal movement. Finding the top of the head, and then moving off to the hip. Keep the hands nice and loose again. Okay, keep going. Okay, good. And just really focus on the hands and the feet. In this case, really feel that the pressing from the feet releases the hands and the sword. So really this feeling like this, and then the feeling that you're going to press this through the feet, and this draws the arms down. So feel that the movement's really based in the footwork, releasing the hands, and this kind of feeling. So basically try and, you basically want to start just coordinate the hands and the feet together. At this point, Lewis was talking about quite a lot in his class. A lot of work goes into, in the beginning, just coordinating the hands and the feet. But in this case, the feet aren't moving, but what you can do is just press through the feet, press into the ground and release the hands. Press into the ground, release the hands. So just really try and focus on the feet and the hands. So, good. Good. Okay. And then the next movement's horizontal, and just the same feeling. Keeping the hands very loose. So don't think about slicing, just move the sword across and then reverse it. And now you're really working with a big hip movement. Sliding out. And again, try and get the feet and the hands to really on a horizontal line. Keeping the arms nice and free, all the joints nice and loose. Roll it across the body. That's good, keep going. go. Very nice. Good. Okay, good. And the last one, just coming out, basically like a thrust, but just pressing the arms out. So with no real sense of power, you're just going to press the arms out. So be in this position, press the arms out. So you basically do this both sides, which means you're basically working in this position and then drawing back this position. So just do a kind of left and right movement, just keeping the arms nice and loose. And you're just looking to press the sword out, press the sword out, press out, press out. And just play with this, a kind of thrusting motion. And again, hands and feet. So press from the hands. You can also just do this even less like a thrust, just rolling out, drawing back, rolling out, rolling out. Basically pressing into the center and expanding out into the extension with the feet. So real slow, press it out. And in this case, allow the sword to basically go into a horizontal position. So you're going to really angle the blade or angle the bokken. Okay. This way out. This way out. So this is really working with a kokyu, screwing into the sword, screwing in. This way. And that's it. Nice. Okay, just watch with this one. This is quite easy to do during the movement, even when you go slow. Just watch for this as I make the full extension. What tends to happen is I start to raise out here, and then I'm in this position. So I'm basically pulling out again into the body. Get the feeling that the lower body sinks, and then the sword presses out, so that you're basically pressing down. As you reach out, you press into the ground more. So the more I can press into the ground, and the more I can press down or drain down into the ground, the more I can reach out with the arms. The less I do, the more I'm basically pressing the body out of the ground. So try and make a distinction between this and this. I'm basically sinking down. The other thing that might happen is I might counterbalance out to the back, and I don't want to do this either, because this is basically working again in imbalance. So basically work in balance and strong extension. So you want the body to just drop in between the feet and the arms to really extend out. So just work a little bit more now with the feeling of a thrust. But really ground the body down. So ground the movement out in a raining down of the body.
Are you locking your elbows when you're thrusting out?
Oh, no. In this case, in this case, don't, and basically in that case, not pressing out of the elbows. So what I'm not doing is this with the arm. So not basically not straightening the arm. In this case, there's always a kind of natural arc that goes through the arm. This is basically the kokyu work this way. And the moment I do that, this is basically where I'm working in a different kind of area, which is okay sometimes for striking this way. But in this case, it's basically gonna keep the elbows, or keep the arm, keep the whole arm in a kind of angle or in an arc.
It's just that from where you were standing just now, it just looked like your right elbow was completely locked, that's all. But when you're doing it to the camera, I can see that it's not.
Basically got this kind of feeling. And the feeling's like the elbow's actually down. This way. This way. Yeah. Play with it. Okay, good. And then just experiment with all of these. So you can add a little bit more of a feeling of a cutting motion. So just play with the vertical. You basically got a diagonal movement like a fitsuburi on both sides. And you've got a kind of slicing movement this way. And you've got a thrusting motion this way. So you've got kind of 8 options. Sorry, no, you've only got, actually, yeah, you've got 8 because you can do the left and right. So look, on the show Manucci, you can do basically that way. Or I'm basically cutting down when I'm adjusting on the left side. So imagine now you're going to apply the hip into the cut without really shifting the hip forward. You've got a left and right side, and you've got a yokomen, right side, left side. You have a slicing movement to the left, a slicing movement to the right, and a thrust on the right side, thrust on the left side. Yeah, just play with them all. So you can either just move through the motion, find the line, or you can just add a little bit of good. Nice. 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 Okay, and again, just shift now the focus from the hands and the feet. Basically, moving the hands and feet together, so the feeling of the center impulsing the movement. So just get the feeling now that really the center is going to lead the whole movement. Center lead, center lead. And now this is a little bit easier because you're actually striking into the striking into the center, or striking with the center firm. So before it's kind of like this way. The center's kind of solidifying, but I'm not really cutting into it. But now the feeling's really of kind of impacting into with the center through the sword. So now just get the feeling that the center releases the movement. Center releases. This way, this way. The first one's the easiest. So the Shomanuchi is really the clearest. That's why we work so much with it, because it's the clearest movement for teaching this kind of dynamic of using the center to create a kind of strike, to press the weight through the movement. So if you want to work with it, work with the center from this first movement, left and right, and then this way, and then this way, this way, this way, this way. Yeah. So just play now with the center, center lead, basically. Yeah, and the other thing you can kind of play with, I play with this a lot, is just connecting the hands and the feet, and then have the feeling that the center just pushes the movement out. So really feel that it's like the pommel of the sword, the end of the sword. You should be connecting into the center here. So it's like there's a strong connection between that and the hip, and just feel that you can basically move it. So the easiest way to do this, or the easiest way to play with it, is with small movements. So because sometimes when the cutting motion, this gets taken over all the time into the arm work. So you can just play with, if you want to, with a feeling of just connecting the center to the hands. And you can start in a kind of kamae. Feel that you connect to it and then just release it to the sword. And basically what I want in this case is that there's no delay between the sword moving and the impulse from the center. It's kind of a direct, it's a connection, but in a sense it's just a direct motion that I want the action in the hip work to translate directly into the hands. So just get the feeling of this kind of motion. And if you can get it in the cuts, in the movement, this is really good. Kind of slow it down, break the movements down. It's always basically the basis of the way we kind of work, is slowing movements down and breaking the movements down, and then basically putting them back together later. So really small movements. There we go. Good. Nice. Nice. Okay, good. And going back to the kind of cutting, striking movement, have the feeling now you're going to do 2, 3, or kind of set, like a small set. So basically you're going to continue the motion. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so get the sense that you're going to kind of combine movements out. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you basically want to now connect in the hip work this way. Okay, so you're going to connect the sword work, the movements of the sword, now directly continue into them. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. And you can really do what you like. 1, 2, 3. Or just a short set. 1, 2. Yeah, and just feel that you connect the hip work all the time. And use all the different combinations you have. Using these 4, actually 8 movements. Just see if you can basically combine them in a set of 2 or 3 moves. Okay. There we go. That's it. There we go. Very nice. Good. Nice. Okay. Great. Yeah, good. So in this case, really watch for, I don't want to kind of, I want to keep the movements very clear. So I want the strikes to be full and complete, and then go to the next one. So there's a tendency in this case to start to kind of muddy the movements a little bit. So they become kind of unclear, and the kind of dribbles. I dribble through the movement. So get a sense that you're gonna really strike in. So I really complete the movement. So if I do a set of 3 movements, you're really going to complete each one. 1, 2, 3. So the movement's really fulfilled. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And just feel that you can really complete them. Even if you do this in a flowing way, the strikes still are full. So it's not that I dribble out of the strike. So really get the feeling that you complete. And you finish it. Yeah. This is easier to start in like 2 movements so that you can really just focus on striking and moving. Yeah. Just play with it a little bit. But really complete the movements. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Good. Good. Okay, now you're just going to play with the hand me. So you're going to play with just changing hand me. Try as much as possible in this case, just so we can focus on the feet into the hands. Just kind of stay on the spot. You're not really going to change. You're not really going to advance or step or anything. Just get the feeling now changing the hand me through the movement. And again, just work with this kind of set of movements. The thrusting movement, the striking movement, the slicing movement. This way. Yeah, and just again, you can do them, you can run through them individually. So the kind of, you've got a basic this way, yokomen, slicing movements, slicing, thrusting. Yeah. Or you can start to combine them. So, but just basically stay on the spot and just focus on the shift in the hip work through the footwork. Yeah, just play. And again, the easiest one is the first movement, this vertical. Shomanuchi. Let's play with the set. Good, good, good. Good. And now if you're not already, just play with really combining together. So do a set of kind of 2 or 3 movements, and make sure you just kind of reset between. So go back into a stance. You can start in left or right, and just find that you can cut, and basically just hold the line that you're on. Cut, combine. In this case, just do 3 movements each time. Just focus on the shift between the feet, working with the center. Good, good. Very nice. Nice. Great. There we go. Great. Good, good, good. Okay, you're kind of naturally going towards this now. Start to work with, hello? 1 second. Start to work now with motion. So start to work with start with forward motions and backwards motions. So work it, body this way. Keep a kind of front back approach, and you can also start to play with rotation work. But just play now with kind of forward movement. This way, and just again, just go to a kind of set of 3 movements. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And just really play with it. So start with. You can also do. I'll show you. You can also do a few backwards. 1, 2, 3. And just really play with it. Just combine them in. You can go forwards, backwards. Just really play with it. Right. Good. Okay, good. And then just play now really with full a full range of motion in the movement. So you can cut basically at any angle. And basically means you're going to start playing with rotation movements. So just kind of mix them into this kind of set. You can kind of cut in, and then really open the movements out. So basically cutting at any angle freely. And just explore kind of basically widening the range of motion. Yeah. And just again in a set of 3. Nice and calm beginning. Press out, cut out. And do what you do. Yeah? Okay, play with it. Just play with big move, slightly bigger movement. Yeah. Nice. Okay, good. And then the last thing, basically what you're going to do is extend the movement. So do as many cuts and strikes as you can, as many strikes as you can before it kind of falls apart. So you're basically just going to start striking anyway. And then when you feel the kind of connection's gone, or the movement's kind of awkward, just stop, pause, and then just start a new set. We're basically trying to extend the series of movements out now. So just start and don't really think about it, just move into it. And you'll feel either the set is a kind of natural end, where I kind of reach the finish of it, or I just lose the connection totally, so or I start to think too much. Just stop and go back to the beginning. But basically just make a longer series of movements now. Start to explore different movements with the hands also. Just roll through a set of movements. And basically know when to stop. That's the rule. Not so easy to know. Nice. I'm just going to spotlight you so I can see better. So let's see. Bernie, you're up. Good. Very nice. Jorge. Good. Very nice. Great. Great, great, great. Super. Great. Good. Go. Nice. Good. Okay, good. And this thing of knowing when to stop is also really important. So, what I can do is we kind of do it a lot in Aikido because we tend to do a lot of repetitious work. We tend to go beyond the point when I should have stopped. So beyond the point when, beyond the kind of limit of my concentration. The best practice for me of this is or the best best way to find this out is actually in archery. So it's actually in shooting, of really knowing when your concentration's dropped and you need to stop. One, because it's dangerous, and if I continue, I'm at risk of kind of injuring myself or someone else, maybe, or a dog nearby. But the second thing is just knowing that I can't put my concentration anymore. My concentration just dips so much that I need to basically stop because my training's kind of poor. I'm in a kind of poor area to train, so I want to basically train at a. I'm also kind of lazy person, so I want to train at a high. I want to train at a high level, high intensity, but short periods. So I don't want to kind of do a lot of work. So basically, in this case, really know when to stop is basically you will also kind of get a feeling for this. One, if my concentration just drops, I lost it, and just start again. And the other thing is knowing that I've actually come to the end of the form, and then I continue through it, and then I go further than I should have gone. So really try and notice these two things: the concentration really dips, or my connection fails, or the movement I do is just so awkward that I need to stop. It just doesn't work. Or I just come to the end of the form, so, or the end of the series of movements. So just feel these kind of two, just kind of be kind of sensitive to these kind of two feelings really. So one is that I just lose the control with the sword, and the other is that I actually just finish the form. And the key to work with this is know it, and then start to slow the work down. So start to slow the work down, start to work really on control, on back into connection work, back into the footwork, back into hands connecting to the feet. And this is basically how you work the training. So this is basically it. So if you feel those kind of things, the connection's just totally failing, just start to take it really slow again. And even start to go back to the beginning. Start to just work on finding arcs. And just working the feet, and then start to open it out again. Yeah, and work it this way. Okay, this is basically how I play with it. So, go ahead. Yeah, good. Okay, good. What I want you to do now is something slightly less freeing. I want you to fix to one set of movements. So 5 or 6 or 7 movements, kind of a longish set. So like 6 movements, and repeat them, and try and kind of you want to kind of refine the movements. So find a kind of series or a series of movements. You'll also feel in this kind of practice, you'll start returning to patterns. So you're going to kind of patterns of movements. Now, try and just create a kind of set of 6 or 7 kind of movements, and just kind of refine it. You can start by building it up into a set. I'm going to just show you the set that Lewis did with you 2 weeks ago or something, because I'm also lazy. So you're going to do like a set. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and just keep repeating it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm just going to. And if you feel anything's kind of off with it, some of the movements are awkward, change them. So feel free to change the set as you do it to make it not more comfortable, more efficient, more effective. Okay, give it a try. So just start. You can start by building up simple movements 1, 2, and then go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can just copy this set I did, or make your own up. Just basically find a set and just keep repeating it, or keep refining it is better. Don't repeat it, refine it. Okay, good. Nice. Good, good, good. Okay, good. Good. Okay, keep going. I'm going to start copying you. So I'm going to steal your set. You create them and I'll copy them. This is good. Good. Very good. Okay, nice. Good. Good. Very nice. Oh, good. Oh, good cut. Good. Okay, good. And now just go to another set, go to another series of movements. So you can steal someone else's by watching them, or you can just invent your own again. Or what you can do is slightly adapt to the one you're already doing by changing a few of the movements. So just so you can either watch someone else, just change them. So just go to a kind of new set of movements. You can keep bits of the last one, or you can just invent a kind of new set, or just kind of work through it. And just find a new set of movements. 6, 7 movements. Okay, the last few minutes, just go to this exercise. So just connecting to the sword and just moving the body. So nice and slow, free form, and just focusing on the footwork, the connection with the hands and the feet, the idea of the center leading. So just nice and slow. Just connecting the handwork. And the hands should feel nice and connected. The bottom should feel kind of light in the hand. Nice and easy. Just play with moving the sword. Play with forward, backwards, rotating, sideways movement. Keep the feet moving. Really noticing the connection between the ground and the feet, which part of the foot. Just really play with. Okay, the last last few minutes, just also really feel that you're also like a threat with the sword. So I can do this in a way where it's kind of loose. This is okay. This is kind of where I start with it. Just kind of loose with the sword. I just want the sword to follow the hands and the body, and then get the feeling that you're really coming into a position of kind of threat as you protecting the center line, but so threat out. There's a feeling of threat in the tip of the blade of this Bokken. So just get a sense now of moving with a sense of intent out. It's kind of the same. I just want to follow it, but I don't want to make myself stiff now. So this is one of the dangers of the kamais, that I start to work in stiffness. So really get a sense of width in the body, extension in the arms, but also with a feeling of extension out. Keeping that feeling of working with the feet carefully. The last thing, just play with kind of slow movements and faster movements. Just work with really moving the body. Play also with the rotation. That's the last thing. Play a little bit with the tempo. Great. Okay, very nice. So we'll stop there. Domo arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you, Michael.
Good.